Hello everyone. Today I've got 3 horror books that are sure to give you nightmares. Man, we got small town horror. We got fan obsessed horror. We have a throwback to the 90s and a babysitter in a house. We got it all covered today. And I can't wait to tell you all about them. But as always, I want to remind you that I have horror books for sale, and if you want to read any of the books you see on your screen, they're only $1 each at the link in the description. And don't forget to check out my Patreon. There's going to be some exclusive stories every month, some exclusive videos every month. There's only one tier, and we're going to be adding a bunch of new things as people join. So if you want to get in on that, it starts next month, and there's a link down below for that as well. And don't forget to pick up your Read More Horror t-shirts. Many colors and sizes available, and yeah, clicky the linky down below for that. All right, let's get started. So the first book I want to talk about today came out all the way back in the good old days of 2012, but it's called The Narrows. Now there is going to be a new edition of this book coming out soon with a different publisher and some added content and a new cover and everything. So whether you choose to pick up this copy now or you want to wait till that re-release, that's up to you, but either way, you definitely want to pick this one up. I'm a huge Ronald Melfi fan. I haven't read anything by him that has disappointed me yet, and I've been going through his back catalog, and this one really got me. This is one of the best small town horror meets creature feature novels I probably ever read. It's got all the elements there that you want in a horror book. It is centered on this small town, and the thing that stands out about this are the characters, because he's writing about these characters that you recognize. They are very realistic. They all have their faults and they all have their secrets like real human beings, but they're not, most of them are not all either really good people or really bad people. They're real human beings, you know, with the pluses and minuses that come with being a human being. But none of them are especially equipped for anything special. None of them are ex-special forces. None of them have any knowledge of supernatural things that are going to prepare them for what happens in this town. And that gives this book a sense throughout that nobody is safe. Even the main characters, I was never sure all the way through until the end which ones are going to survive and which ones were not, because there are some very close escapes in here. There are some encounters where people get lucky and might not die right then, but again, that doesn't mean they're safe, because they are completely unprepared for these creatures that are going to invade their town. Now, as for the creatures themselves, the word vampire gets thrown around a lot, and these are vampire-esque creatures, but they are not vampires the way you or I would think of vampires when you hear that word. Like, you're not going to be able to wear a chain of garlic around your neck and get out a crucifix and stop these things. They are terrifying. They are unrelenting, and they are very hungry. They want to eat the humans, and nobody is prepared for how that happens in this small town. And there's this huge rainstorm that's sweeping the area throughout the course of the timeline of this book, and it makes it even more horrifying, because the power will often go out, and they don't know whether that's because of the weather or because of whatever's happening in this town. All these bodies are piling up, and there are a lot of bodies that's going to pile up in here, or whether it's because of these creatures, but they lose power, and communications are shut off, and they find themselves in this very claustrophobic little town, all just trying to survive, and not all of them will. It's got everything in here that you want in a horror book. The small town horror, the wonderful creatures that are, like I said, they're like vampires, but they're definitely not vampires the way you would think of them. Something completely different. And there's just stuff in here to freak you out no matter what kind of horror fan you are. I truly enjoyed this book. It was a lot of fun to read, very chilling, and I can't recommend it enough. And there is a link down below if you want to purchase your copy through Amazon. And next we have Midnight on Beacon Street. The thing about this one, this is a throwback to the 90s. And so no cell phones in sight, of course, no computer technology or anything like that going on. And it's basically one of these stories about an imperiled babysitter. There's a babysitter and she's watching her two kids one night while the mother goes out. And the kids are great. You got a 12-year-old girl who thinks she's too old to have a babysitter, and she has all that attitude of a prepubescent child, as they do at that age. And then you have a smaller boy who is a sweet kid, a little shy, a little introverted, but very, very smart. And you know, the babysitter, she takes her job very, very seriously. But during the course of the night, and some things we'll find out about things that have happened to some of these characters in the past, she's going to get some visitors there. Some of them she knows. The one in particular she does not, which really freaked me out when that character showed up unexpectedly, and the way in which he was presenting himself, and you'll have to read about that. But the thing about this is that we know it's a horror book. We know something horrible is going to happen, but we don't know when, and we don't know who's going to be doing it. And with all these characters we meet, there is no end to who could be the big bad, who's going to be the one to reveal themselves as the villain. And I absolutely love that in horror books and even horror movies, you know, like Scream. You have so many people like, who's doing the killing? And this book kind of reminded me of Scream in that aspect, because you got the boyfriend who seems like really too much of a nice guy, and that will always raise your suspicions in horror, right? And then you got the wild older girl who's just kind of going through life and not really caring about anything, and that could be an indicator of something. And then you have the young people who are they're just assholes for the sake of being assholes, and they're kind of mean. They've been in trouble with the law. They're the troublemakers. And even though they're typically not going to be the big reveal at the end, these ones give off that vibe that perhaps they could be just telling us right away, hey, I'm a bad guy and I'm going to do bad things. Maybe. But we will get the reveal at the end, find out who it is, what the motivation is, and all that. And it is going to wind up with a dead body, of course. But I'm not going to tell you who. But even at one point in the book, I thought maybe it could be the mother who is out for the night. Because some things start happening that, and we don't hear from the mother for most of the book after she leaves. So maybe she's out there. Maybe she's lost her mind a little bit. Yeah, you just never know. It's like I said, it's one of those great throwbacks. It's set in the 90s. It's got all that teen angst you want. It's got the cute, adorable kids that are going to be in peril, you know, and all that good stuff. And what more do you want? I had a lot of fun reading this one also. And of course, I highly recommend it to you. And there is a link down below if you want to purchase your copy. And next we have Revenge Arc. Oh man, this one is great. This is all about fandom and obsessive fans, and how sometimes these fans want life to imitate the art that they are obsessed over. This is told in an epistolatory manner, which means we're going to get the story from forum posts, from interviews, from transcriptions of, in one case, like a Comic-Con kind of panel, diary entry, you know, all those kind of things. That's how this story is going to be told. And when that's done right, it really adds another layer of horror to the affairs. And this one does that perfectly. I thought this story lent itself to that writing style. And the thing is, this is about a woman who has a very popular cult-like following of a web comic called Red. And this comic deals with the dark web urban legend of these red rooms, where supposedly on the dark web people would live stream actual torture and murders of people to an audience that were paying them in Bitcoin and stuff like that. Of course, we know that's not true. That's been debunked a long time ago. But still, that subject of Red Rooms still pops up. And that's what this webcomic this woman has created is all about. And her main character is called Red, and it's a revenge story about how this character survives all her time in one of these Red Rooms and then comes back to kill the people responsible. But somebody is taking this a little bit too far. Somebody wants to see this happen in real life. Somebody calling themselves the creator wants the author of this webcomic to actually be in a red room and exact her revenge on them. They're actually willing to die in order to make this webcomic come to life, basically. And they are going to kidnap her as her character Red, because they are just obsessed with that. And it's a very chilling story. It really creeps up on you because it just keeps getting more horrifying and more horrifying as different sections are unleashed, as we hear from different interviews and we see different web posts and forum posts from some of these obsessed fans. Who could it be and why would they want to do this? And we'll get some answers at the end. But this one's all about urban legends and how obsessed fans can get, especially in the corners of the internet where something isn't so popular it's known wide. But these little fandoms out there that have these fans that are just, sometimes a little bit too much into it, and sometimes can't tell reality from the fiction. And it's just great as this book explores that whole little world. I absolutely love this book. It was bone chilling. It'll give you nightmares thinking about it. And if you've been on the internet or been to any of these forums with these little fandoms, you'll know that it rings true to life. Some of the things these people say and do. So yeah, I highly recommend it. And again, there's a link down below where you can get your copy, and you definitely should. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.